In part 2 of this video, we're going to see how that glue up turned out on the tabletop. I'm going to take the tabletop in and get it sanded on a large wide belt sander. And I'm going to cut out the rest of the pieces here so that we've got everything at least rough cut for this table. So next morning, let's take a look and see how this tabletop slab turned out. Still heavy. Well, there's the face side right now. And I'm not worried about these kind of gaps. This is 1.25 inches, and I want to take it down to 1 inch or even just a little under 1 inch. So there's a fair bit of sanding that'll take out all those imperfections. But this one's ready to go off to the cabinet shop to be surfaced. This thing weighs a ton, even with the clamps off. Alright, here's the leaf all glued up. It's the same width as the top, and when I finish it, I'll end up just cutting this right in two down the center. So I've got my tabletop and my leaf ready to go. So I need to take those in and get them flattened, sanded. tabletop back from the cabinet shop. We spent probably better part of an hour and a half running this thing through a belt sander just to bring everything to the same level. There was some cupping and some divots in these boards, and so it just took a lot of passes to get it right, but we've got really nice tight joints here, and you can start to see some of the grain here. And then this is the piece that'll be the butterfly leaf. So a lot of nice grain in that too. And so now the next thing to do here is to turn my attention to the remaining parts of the table. This is what wood I have left. I've got some cutoffs from doing the tabletop. And then I've got 2 slabs here left. And this should be enough wood to do everything if I do this right. And I need to take my time and lay this out. So here's my strategy. I'm going to start with the longest pieces that I need and lay those out and cut them first and work my way down. That way I don't paint myself into a corner. So we'll start with the longest piece of this apron. I think I'm going to need at least 68 inches for that. So I'll cut that first. The next piece I'll move on to is probably this stringer that runs between the legs down at the bottom. And then I'll move on and probably look at cutting the wood for each of the 4 legs, and then finish up with the ends of the apron and then the slats and the cross braces for the legs. All right, I'm going to use this slab for the 2 long pieces of that apron. So the first thing I need to do is square up one edge, and then I can cut out the pieces that I need. So these are the legs that are glued up. All the seams look real nice, with one exception. This one right here is good until you get to this point. You can see that gap. So I have a way to fix that. I'll take this and I'll run it through the table saw, and my blade is about an 1/8 inch thick. I'll just take a straight cut all the way through here, and then I'll just glue it back together. That will get me a perfect matching surface. And these are going to be cut down to 2 by 2 anyway, so I've got plenty of margin on this one. It won't hurt to take that 1/8 inch off, because ultimately I'm gonna slim these down a lot more. This is my last slab. I need to get 6 pieces of wood out of this. I need the end pieces for the apron, and then I need the cross pieces for each of the legs. There should be just enough wood here to get that out. And then the rest of this, the slats I can make easily out of the scraps that are left over. 2 of these cross braces had a pretty bad bow in them. I'm going to show you this one. We're up again about 1/4 inch here. So I've got a jig. I'll show you how that works. But let me show you. This one was just as bad. And I've run this now through the planer, and it's nice and straight. I'm starting with a nice straight piece of oak, and I'll use this as a base. Now what I've done is drilled 2 holes. I countersunk them because this is going to run along the bottom and I don't want these to catch on the bottom of the planer. I'm going to take this and I'm going to screw it right to this board, and then we'll get some shims in here. All right, it's ready for the planer. All right, we're all done with this one. Way better. Nice and straight. So that's how you can take a warp out of a board or a cup or a bend. All right, we're done with this part. We've got the tabletop done. We've got all of these pieces now rough cut. That just means I've taken them out of the slabs and I know what I need here now. On the next round, what I'll do is really do the final cut on these, bringing them down to the dimensions that we need for the table. I'd also like to turn my attention to the tabletop and even some of these pieces, and I need to fill all of these gaps. Every one of these little voids I'm going to fill with epoxy. And then I'll get that sanded flush so that we can move on to the next step. The other thing I want to do is take a look at these pieces and think about how I want my joinery. How am I going to connect my legs to my base? How am I going to connect my cross pieces over here to these legs? The apron I think is pretty straightforward. And then finally this stretcher piece that's going to run between the legs. I need to think about how I want to join that in. That's my goal for part 3. Thanks for sticking with me this far.